Kaizer Chiefs has 10 players, yes, you heard me right, whose contracts are coming to an end come June 30, 2024. And we're going to talk about which ones should they keep, which ones should they loan, and which ones should they sell. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. Starting with Brendan Peterson. His contract is coming to an end this June, and I think he's one of the players who they should just let go. Because Brendan Peterson has gone through a lot as a Kaizer Chiefs goalkeeper, and now Bruce Vuma has taken over as the number one goalkeeper. Given the fact that Bruce is now number one, and then Peterson might be getting minutes here and there, then what if he comes in again, then he makes a mistake, and then once again this whole situation that he already has with the fans gets worse. So I do think that with Brendan Peterson, they should definitely let go and not renew his contract when it comes to an end. Which brings us to the goalkeeper number 2, Bruce Vuma. Now Vuma, his contract is also coming to an end in June. And there are people who have been saying a lot about Bruce, he's been at Chiefs for a long time, he's not a starter, and all of this and all of that. But remember, Bruce, for his entire time or period when he's been at Kaizer Chiefs, there's been a man called Itumeleng Khune. So there was no way that he was going to start ahead of Khune. And then when he did get some chances to play, I don't think he was trusted enough, because look at what he did for us in the CAF Champions League run. But then they ended up not trusting him. And right now, if he continues with his current form, I think it makes a lot of sense for Kaizer Chiefs to keep him, because also being a goalkeeper, it's not like in the next 3 years he will lose his footing. So he can still be Chiefs' goalkeeper for the next 5-6 years. So I think they should renew his contract. So keep. Number 3 is Itumeleng Khune, who has been going through a lot. And the club themselves, they said this is his last season, but he said it's not. Well, kind of alluded to that Uguti he might play until he's 40, because about General Luigi Buffon played until that age. But I think Khune is a legend, and I think what we saw with Man United, for starters, Ronaldo coming back the second time, and then all of a sudden he became sort of a villain. You look at what is happening with Ghana, Andre Ayew, not Andre Ayew, Teddy Ayew, the other Ayew. He was brought on in the game where they ended up drawing. They were leading the game comfortable, ends up giving a penalty away, ends up not giving anything to the team because they are trying to increase his milestone, most capped player in Africa or stuff like that, or a player who has played most AFCONs, but it ended up costing them a lot in the tournament. So it made no sense for them to make that sub and play Ayew. And I think you either stay and leave a legend, or you stay and then Uqiniso as a villain. And I think Khune served Kaizer Chiefs really well for him to leave as a villain. So I think that when the contract comes to an end, he should also just become part of the technical team, goalkeeper coaching. I'm sure he will give us a lot, because he knows a lot from experience. Which brings us to number 4. But before we talk about number 4, please do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now, Edmilson Dove. Edmilson Dove's story is a tricky one, because on one hand, you can say, if they let him go, who's going to be the backup left back? Because I don't think that Uhlanti, they should be renewing his contract here. We're going to talk about him in a moment. Let's talk about both left backs while we edit, because Hlanti and Dove, both of them are leaving. On one hand, you have Dove, who can play as a centre back and also play as a left back. Playing as a left back, he gets a lot of injuries. Even in the national team, he's playing as a centre back. On the other hand, we have Sanduluk Flus, and we have Abot Titlokwe, and we have a lot of players at centre back, even Abu Kunik. So that position is kind of sorted, which means if he stays, it would be a backup left back, and then we have to sign a left back who's going to start, right? On the other hand, with Uhlanti, guys, and I will always say this, it's not because he's a bad player. I think he's good as a player. It's just that sometimes it seems like he doesn't care. I don't know what happens with him, but it just seems like he doesn't care. And that worries me, because I think he's a brilliant footballer, like I do. But inking Ugutinji, sometimes I don't know what happens. So I would say when his contract runs out, I think they should not renew his contract and let him go. When it comes to Dove, though, I think he's the one that I would say keep, because Kaizer Chiefs being Kaizer Chiefs, they might just end up not signing anyone else to play as a left back. So you rather have Dove as a left back there, and you still have other players like Umashiane. You can even play with Titloko as a left back and change the system. Obviously, he will not be required to overlap. He will just be a traditional left back who's sitting to make sure that we are solid defensively. Which brings us to Njabulo Ngcobo, because this is one player who came to Kaizer Chiefs like really playing well and like we're singing praises for him. Comes to Chiefs, he shows signs, and then he makes mistakes, and then these mistakes follow him and they haunt him, and you could see Uguti, this thing seems to be playing in his head, right? And even when he recovers, because even this stint that he just had when Simang was out of form, he played and then he ended up being dropped. And for the sake of his career, unless the Chiefs offer him money, because then he would be like, this is my last contract, might as well stay here. It depends on how he thinks, really, and also how many competitions Chiefs has. Because if we have more competitions from the side of the club, then they should keep him. But from the side of him as a footballer, if he wants or aspires to do more in his football, then I think it's better for him to leave. However, it's also a financial thing. We know this. If he himself or the team thinks we could use a backup like him, and he thinks financially there's no one else who can pay me what Chiefs are paying me, then he stays. Which is, by the way, is not a thing that we kind of encourage you to stay because there's money, because we want you to stay because there's passion there and you actually enjoy playing for the club. So I'm actually on the fence with Njabulo Ngcobo in this case. So what I will actually say is, because I'm hopeful Ugutu are going to win something this season, or even qualify for Champions League, and we're going to have a lot of matches, that's if we move past the group stages, then I would say he should also be kept. Which brings us to September Stebe. There's already been reports about September Stebe Uguti might be going to Arrows or Amazulu end of the season. So Stebe Vele, I mean, even Castillo can't play. There are a lot of other players who are not playing. I think I wanted him last year. I was impressed. I was more impressed by him than Umart, but Umart always wins these things. So I think Stebe now, come end of the season, he should just leave for the good, or for his own sake, right? So I also think Stebe should leave. And then, surprise, surprise, Umshini, the contract, apparently there are talks for his contract to be renewed and stuff like that. And I think that for me to even sit here and waste more time, Umshini should be kept. I feel like there should be some clauses. There should be some clauses in these contracts that are based on performance, because we cannot be having a player of Umshini's quality not giving us the maximum that he can give us. I mean, Umshini, guys, if he really played to his level, he can be overseas, but the problem is his work rate is not matching his talent. But either way, I think we don't have more players like Umshini at Chiefs, so I think he should be kept as well. Which brings us to another player who's like him, and that is Uletlo Honolo Matlou. And uMatlou indaba yakhe trick. Indaba yakhe trick ngoba this season started and then he was playing well and then got an injury, and now we don't get what the story is. Age is still in his side, so that's a good part, because age is still in his side, so it's not like it's too late for him now. But I think he was brought to Chiefs to develop, and that was a bit tricky. But if you look across the squad, the Chiefs, and say, who actually can do what uMatlou does? Ne? Because Umshini, what he does, Munandi Epoleni, right? But no Matlou na Mnandi Epoleni. But the advantage that uMatlou has over Umshini is his body, right? uMatlou mude, uMatlou mkhulu. We saw with Arsenal, other people were questioning why Arsenal bought Kai Havertz. One of the reasons is because of the size. Why Arsenal was so small last season, most of their players on average. But now they got Rice, they got Havertz, they are getting players who are kind of bigger as well. Not Kuti, that's the only reason why they bought them. But that also adds to that. And you don't get bullied easily if you are that big, because you can protect the ball, but also physically you are more imposing than Umshini, but at the same time you are still creative, if you get what I'm saying. Look at Aboya Toro, what they were able to do. If you look at De Bruyne, he does those things that Tutore did, but if you look at Tutore, he did it to the next level because also his body. I was watching one video where they were talking about why bums, I'm sorry, but they were talking about why like bums are important in football, because then you can use them to protect the ball and whatnot. And I think it goes for all the other parts of your body as well and your size. So I think that Umatlo Unaye, given his profile and given the lack of creativity at Kaizer Chiefs, I think he should also be kept. While we're speaking, before I go to the last player, which player out of the ones that I've mentioned and the ones that I'm going to mention do you think Chiefs should keep, and why do you think they should keep that particular player? Because we're still going to do the list of other players in general, depending on how many views this video gets. So do like the video so that if YouTube sees that you're liking it, then more people will see it, then I can make the other video. Anyways, now the last player is actually on loan, and that is Jason Gonzalez. I'm just going to leave it there. Gonzalez is on loan. Do you think they should keep him or they should let him go come end of the season? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals and pelumoy.